Welcome on in, back on into the scoop here on Century Baseball. Back with another episode, a little bit of a shorter one today. Sam Napoli here with you as we are back. So we're going to do a couple things. We got a tier list we're going to go through today. We're also going to do some discussion on some recent Juan Soto news, a couple of things stirring across a couple of teams, including a pretty big change to my predictions. So we're going to be going over that here today on the scoop. Thank you for joining me. We are sponsored by Geek. Use code Century17 on SeatGeek. Grabs yourself $20 off your first purchase of $50 or more. Make sure you guys are using SeatGeek. There's NFL games, NBA, NHL is in full swing now. I probably should go see one of those. Sabres games are back in full swing, so make sure you use code Century17 when you do it. Welcome back on in. It is The Scoop, our second episode of the off season. I know a couple of them pretty close here back to back. Not really used to any consistency at all whatsoever, are we? So the tier list today that we're going to be doing is what teams are going to be spending. Offseason hasn't really begun yet. I haven't really seen very much. Really 1-2 signings at most. A little bit more is stirring with the Juan Soto news. But overall, not a lot has happened, so we can still get this done. And it won't be too late or anything. Jim, knock on wood. I think my desk is wood. Not really sure. Anyway. So we'll do that tier list. We'll do some discussion on Juan Soto, and then we'll probably wrap it up for the episode today. So, if you guys did not know, the clips, really one clip per podcast, will be posted as a video, edited down a little bit, on the Century Baseball channel. Full podcasts come out on the Scoop YouTube channel as well, and then there's shorts and clips that come out all the time. So make sure you guys are staying tuned for that. Content being produced all the time. I just recorded a couple of shorts, so I'm going to really be trying to consistently put out a lot more in the coming few months as we lead up to next season, 2025, where hopefully Century Baseball goes through a couple of pretty big changes, a lot more consistency coming as well. But yeah, make sure you guys are staying tuned for that. Subscribe if you haven't already. Truly would appreciate it. You come here, all kinds of analysis and get your baseball news here. We might expand to other sports soon, so make sure you guys are subscribed. Without further ado, enough of me rambling on for 2.5 minutes. Let's go ahead and let's talk about this tier list we've got going on here. Welcome into those of you who are on the YouTube side now. 5 tiers technically, but it's pretty self-explanatory. Up here are teams who I think are going to be spending a lot of money. Then teams who are going to spend a little bit of money, good bit of money. Some like kind of in the middle because like you can't really put none here because teams aren't going to spend negative money, but teams who aren't going to spend very much at all, and the teams who are poverty, they really are not spending anything. I'm going to start at the bottom tier and work our way up because I like doing it that way. I think you guys do too. The videos that do better actually start at the bottom and work their way up. A couple of teams who I see doing absolutely nothing this offseason. The Twins are one. They never do anything. They don't bring in anyone. Last year, nothing. No upgrades to their team. They've got Correa on the big contract. They might even look to deal him this year. I don't really know. I think it'd be interesting if they did. Do I think it's going to happen? No. But I think they're kind of done spending money. They might bring in a starting pitcher at most. Like, they are not doing much of anything in the free agent market. Maybe it's a little harsh. Maybe they should be a tier up. I'm putting them down here, especially for how much of a contender they were before. Another team I'm going down here. I'm going to put the Rays. They're going to make one signing maybe. And that's about it. I'm going to put the Marlins right with them. The Marlins are a little bit different this year because normally they would go out and they get a free agent. Think of like a Jorge Soler signing. Duvall a few years ago they brought in. They make a signing or two, somebody who they maybe could deal at the deadline. This year it's different. They're in full set rebuild mode now. Whatever they were doing before did not work. They just got a new manager as well. They're in full rebuild mode now. So this year's going to be a little bit different. I don't think they're spending much money at all whatsoever. Different times in Miami right now as well. One that's kind of weird. I'm going to save him though. I'm going to save him for the next tier. I'm going to save him for a little bit. The Rockies are going to do something, so I'm going to save them. Guardians aren't going to do anything. They never do. They're going to maybe look for a trade, but they're not going to bring in anybody signing-wise. There's no way. I don't even think they're going to bring back Shane Bieber. They will not spend money. There's no way. As far as anybody else that belongs in this tier, I'll put the A's down here because I don't think they're going to do much either, but they'll probably do a little bit more than normal. New city, more money on the way. We'll see, but still probably next to nothing coming from the A's. So 5 teams who are going to do next to nothing, I think, this offseason. Spending-wise, this is all about spending money. Trades and stuff like that obviously can happen. The Guardians can get so much better in the margins if they want to go out and make trades like that. Stuff like that can definitely happen. Teams who I think are going to spend a little, but not a lot. That definitely includes the Rockies. They always kind of make a weird older starting pitching signing or something like that along those lines, or some kind of veteran gets signed. They'd probably do it a couple of times. Big into the extension game a couple years ago. I'm interested to see what they do. I think Pittsburgh belongs in this tier because I think that they know they have kind of a window opening right now. And their ownership has come out and made quotes, said that they're going to spend a little bit of money. I got to see it before I believe it. If anything, they're going to go out and get, I think in my predictions, I had, Anthony Rizzo is kind of their move. So I don't really know how much more than that they're going to get. We'll see. Other than that, I think Milwaukee goes here. Some people think they're going to bring in, Bregman or something like that. But that's not how they work. They go in the margins and they find better value for less money. So the Brewers definitely go there. I think the White Sox go here because I think they bring in a couple veterans, some guys to, I'm not going to say make them better because they're going to trade them at the deadline, but they're the worst team in history last year. You know what I mean? They can only go up. And I think they bring in a couple of veterans. I had Bader going to them. I think I had Hendricks going to them, but he already signed. But, stuff like that. As far as this tier, that might be all for that tier. If I miss any of them, I'll come back. There's going to be a lot of teams that are here in this sum category. I think the Angels spend some money. They already have. They brought in Hendricks. Artie Moreno's weird. His tendencies are very strange. He doesn't really have any pattern at all to him whatsoever. He just kind of throws money at people when it's not smart, especially. So I think he goes there. One team that's going to spend a lot less than a lot of people think, I think, is the Red Sox. I don't see this being their year to go out and get people. I think they'll be outbid, 1. 2, they're a smart enough organization to know that I don't think Max Fried makes them better right now. I don't think that the marginal cost and the marginal benefit meet up for them to get a guy like Fried, which a lot of people like for them. I don't think it adds up. I don't think it's there. So I don't think the Red Sox add as much as people really think this offseason. Another team that I think spends some is the Diamondbacks. I think it's a first baseman, and that's it. I think they stop right there. I think they mostly run it back with what they had because you have to bank on them being better. They brought in free agents last year. That's what they did. Maybe they make a trade for a shortstop, a better shortstop, but I think for the most part, they sign a first baseman, either Walker, Alonso, someone like that, and that's it. If it's Pete, it's a big signing, but I think that's about where they stand. And the Orioles spend some, not a lot of money. I think they spend more than normal, but I think their limit is at they're going to maybe get Burns. If they don't get Burns, they bring in 2 starting pitchers. You know what I mean? They need an ace. And maybe they look to the trade market once again. Definitely a possibility. But if they don't get Burns, I don't see them settling. I don't see them grabbing much else. You know what I mean? So I think comparable. They're probably the top of this list, but comparable to what some of these other teams might do. That's what I'm thinking. I think the Reds try to bring in pieces for their lineup. I said that in my predictions video. JD Martinez feels like a fit for them. And someone older in that lineup as well. Verdugo feels like a guy who could be there. They probably need an outfielder, so that could definitely add up. So I think they spend a little bit of money. Nothing, no top big market free agents, anything like that. I don't see that happening for them this year. I think the Cardinals go in some. They're kind of on the borderline. They're the team I was thinking about before because they've they've said that they want to cut back on payroll for this coming year. But you'd think that they're going to try to bring in some kind of starting pitching because, their window's not fully closed yet. They've got good young talent. Sure, Goldschmidt's out of here. He's expiring. Arenado's probably going to be dealt. They're kind of a borderline team. talent-wise, they're definitely a borderline team. And they still have an ace in Sonny Gray. So it kind of feels like they have to bring in something marginally. I don't know. Something like that. Royals spend a little bit of money. I think I like Santander to go there for sure. But I don't think their reach goes much farther than that. Maybe a starter. They already brought back Waco, we saw. So I think that was about a 12-ish, 13-ish a year kind of deal. I think it was 3 for 39. But Santander, some kind of outfielder. I don't think that their reach goes much farther than that, though. This one's tough. I think the Houston Astros go here because I think they look to the margins. I do. I think that their upgrade at first base is going to be very marginal. I think they go after a Goldschmidt for a 1 for 12 or something like that. Maybe he goes 2 for 20. Something along those lines. I like the fit there because I think he's also from Houston. So Goldie to the Astros makes sense, but I don't think they make much free agent upgrades. I don't even think they really bring back Bregman. I think they go for someone lower end, low risk, high reward, someone like a Yon Moncada, someone like that, who just needs a change of scenery at this point, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I don't think that they really spend on a big free agent this year either. All of these teams are tough. Nationals will get someone. I don't know who it's going to be. But the more and more I think about it, I love Christian Walker to go there for 3 years because they probably have a window to compete starting now. I hope they bring in a starting pitcher for their sake. But Walker to them also feels like a great fix. They need a first baseman badly. I don't like Pete to go there because I don't think he's the type of guy that they want pumped into that organization for 7 years or so. Walker for 3 is so much better of a value at the first base position. That's what teams are going to start to realize is that Walker is a far better value for 3 years than Alonso is for 7 or 8 years. So teams are going to probably try to look to that, if we're being honest. Other than that, for this tier, I'm going to go Mariners. I don't think they spend a whole lot either, but they're desperate for a hitter, so they're probably also going to be in on Walker. That's probably about it. Like a lot of these teams are like, let's get a first baseman, pretty much. Like they're going to be very, very subtle, not a whole lot, but something that makes an upgrade because the Mariners definitely need a hitter or 5 in their lineup. So there's that. I think the Braves are right on the brink of these two tiers, but I am going to bump them up. So let's go to the next tier, which is spending a good bit of money. They need a shortstop. I think they're going to be serious players for Willy Adames. And I think they try to bring in a starter or 2, maybe probably 2. Someone who's going to be a low risk, high reward, and then someone who they can definitely plug in and make a serious starter. I think they'll be in on Jeff Hoffman because that kind of turning him into a starter kind of feels a lot like Braves, like what they want to do. They did it with Lopez. Maybe they do it with Hoffman. We'll see. But stuff like that. I think they definitely do that. And if they get Willie, that's a good bit of money invested. So I think that's why they go to this tier. I think the Cubs go here. They're definitely going to look to bring in a starter like Flaherty. I love the idea of Flaherty going there. And then probably try to bring in some kind of infielder, either a second baseman or a third baseman. Glaber makes a lot of sense. Those 2 moves to me make so much sense for the Cubs to do. Glaber and Flaherty. And I think they could seriously compete if they make those 2 moves. I mean, they already probably could. They get a lot of talent on the roster. But those 2 really would be pretty serious upgrades as well. And they could trade away a Nico Horner to try to grab some starting pitching. I think the Phillies, the more that's come out about it, which we'll talk in a little bit, I think they go here. They're not going to be in on Juan Soto. That's part of the news we got to talk about in the next segment. If you're watching on the YouTube right now, check out the scoop. They're probably going to be in on a Bregman or something like that. I don't know why, because I feel like him and Bohm are, at this point, kind of similar. Bregman's got a little more pop, more experience, but I don't know. Alec Bohm is on the trade block. This is a little bonus note. So they're probably going to be looking for an infielder of some kind to put into this lineup. I don't think they're not going for Soto anymore. So they're definitely not in on Pete. They don't need a first baseman, stuff like that. So we'll see how that goes. I think The Padres are another team that are on the brink here. I think they're similar to the Braves, and like I feel like a trade is more inevitable than them signing someone. The more I think about it, though, I love Snell to go back to them. Like that just feels like such a perfect story too. Snell going back to them would make sense. So if that happens, he's going to be a bit. I think that they can deserve to be in this tier. Blue Jays are going to spend, man. I don't know if they get up to this kind of money, but they're going to get someone, no matter who it is, whether it's Santander, Bregman, Soto, something like that. And they're going to have to spend a little extra money to bring him in. I don't know if they get Soto. I don't think Soto wants to go there. So I think that's what keeps them from being up here. But Toronto still is going to be a big player for a lot of these big free agents, and that's why they deserve to be there. Texas are going to bring in some starting pitching of some kind. They also kind of on the fringe, but I think they would want to go after a bigger starter. DeGrom's coming back too. So the window's still open for them. They still got a lot of talent on the roster. They can very easily make the playoffs next year if they can bring in starting pitching. Evaldi's got to come back, and they got to add someone onto that too. Giants will go here. They're kind of on this brink now. They're kind of sitting in between here. They need a superstar badly. I think they could trade for one for sure. Like, they could trade for Correa or something like that. That's what I was talking about before. But I think for the most part, it's like an Adames. It's something like that they're looking to do. Someone who can play good defense for them. He can hit for a little bit, and he looks like he'll be good for 5 or so years, maybe more. Buster Posey, we forget. He's now president of baseball ops there. So he knows how to create a World Series winning team. He's been a part of a lot of them. So I think that's where that tier ends. I think we can bump up to the next one. 4 teams who are going to be spending a lot of money. We'll start with the Yankees. They also are kind of on this brink, but they're going to be players for Soto. And if they don't get Soto, they're going to bring in someone or two else. Because if they don't bring in Soto, they're realistically more than 2 hitters away from really having a complete lineup again. Like an outfielder of some kind is just imperative. So they're going to have to bring in someone. And I think they're going to be legitimate players for either Tanner Scott, who is going to be one of the more expensive relievers ever, and maybe even a lefty starter of some kind, like Snell could definitely be. That's what I had my predictions with Snell going to them. So that's definitely a possibility. The Mets are going to be in on Soto for sure. But otherwise, we know they're going to spend money regardless. And they have a lot of guys to re-sign is another thing to think about. So that's where a lot of their money is also going to be allocated to. Even if they don't get Pete Alonso, they've still got Manaea to bring back. Quintana, if they want to do that. There's another one. Severino's got to be brought back. He probably is going to take the QO, I think, though, which is an interesting one. Doesn't want to take his multi-year deal yet. I'm going to end with the most interesting one. So Dodgers, they find a way to spend money every single year. We know last year they spent $1 billion. I think they bring in Max Fried. That seems like the biggest one to me. Willy Adames is a great fit for them to kind of try to continue and make themselves into a dynasty here because they've got a serious chance at winning a lot over the next few years. Not much else to say on them. But the most interesting team of the offseason is the Tigers, who I expect to spend a lot of money this offseason. I think it starts with someone like a Bregman. Ha-Sung Kim, I think, is a perfect fit for that team. They're going to bring in a starter or two because they really only have one in the rotation. Jackson Jobe will get stretched out, so maybe there's 2. Casey Mize, okay, there's 3. We need another real deal starter who's a dog. Bringing Flaherty right back makes a lot of sense. That's one that could definitely happen. Snell, something like that. They're going to spend a lot of money. They're going to bring in a hitter, maybe 2. They've got a real window now, and Max Clark is coming too. So infielder is probably going to be at the top of their list. Another starter has to be as well. I think they go high end with it. Tigers have a big offseason ahead of them. We'll see what they do with that. So that's the tier list. Let me know what you guys think about that. And thanks for watching. Century Baseball merchandise is available now. Click the link in the description to get yours today. So over here on the scoop, that's what the tier list looks like. I know it kind of felt YouTube video-like, but I mean, it literally is what it is. That's the YouTube video, one of them for this week. So we'll see how that one goes. But yeah. we can just talk a little bit now. I know this podcast is not going to be very long, but we just talk a little bit now. Jeff Passan put out a thing, excuse me, where he reported that there's going to be meetings that are coming. Let me pull this up on my phone real quick. That there's meetings for Juan Soto, and the first one is the Red Sox, I want to say. It was Red Sox and Blue Jays were at the top of the list. Anyone who wants to meet with Boris is allowing for it to happen. So let me see if this Passan tweet comes up. A lot of movements in front offices too. So yeah, the Blue Jays have the first meeting this week, and then it's Boston, and then the Mets, and then the Yankees. One thing to note is that the Phillies are out. Middleton kind of went over how the investment, the money being pumped in, which is what I was all over. I expected them to heavily pursue Juan Soto. It's not what that was about. They can go after free agents for sure, and they're going to shake up stuff because they're trying to trade Alec Boehm right now. He's on the block. As Passan put out today as well. Excuse me. But they're out on Soto. So you've got 4 teams for now. I think the Giants sneak in and try to make that move as well. I would love that fit. I would love for Soto to be on the Giants. It feels like a great fit. But those teams are there. The Red Sox are a weird one because they don't spend money ever. But they feel like, I mean, obviously, he's a game changer. He's so much different. 15 years is going to bring him to 40. That's what you got to probably give him. The Mets are going to offer him the most money. They have to. They got the richest owner in baseball. It's whether or not Juan Soto wants to be a Met. Does he want to stay in New York? I would assume so. The more and more that comes out about it, it feels like he'll probably just be a Yankee. But that's if the Steinbrenners open the checkbook back up again, because they have not spent. Okay, that's a lie. I was going to say they haven't spent a ton of money recently, but it's almost like they've been afraid to make the move recently until last offseason. Last offseason was a big one. They made a lot of big moves. They got to bring him back. Like, people are going to tear down the stadium if they do not bring Juan Soto back. Like, it might be over there. I don't know. He's so important to them. The Mets will be in on him. Dodgers will probably find a way to be in on him too. And who knows? They'll probably just end up getting him because they get everybody. I don't know, but apparently the Phillies are out on Soto. It's a weird one, I know. But then you got 5 teams in my mind. Apparently the Red Sox, apparently the Blue Jays, Yankees, Mets, Giants have been reported a little bit on too. So that'd be fun. Imagine he goes to the Tigers. Imagine that's their move. I don't think so because they've got a big young outfield, so it doesn't make a lot of sense for them. But anyway, yeah, there's a little bit of Juan Soto talk because that's what's come out recently. A couple guys went on the trade block. As I said, Alec Boehm, looks like Brandon Lau and Yandy Diaz also pretty formally put on the trade block by the Rays. So, yeah, a couple guys up for grabs. It'll make for an interesting offseason. Those are, I guess, the known guys. They're up for grabs in the trade market. So we'll see how that one goes. Thank you guys for listening to this episode of The Scoop. If you did enjoy, make sure you subscribe and follow everywhere at Century Baseball as well for all of the main channel content as well. Thank you very much for watching or listening, however you consume today's episode. I appreciate you as always. I was about to say enjoy the baseball, but it's the off season, so I guess enjoy the football, basketball, hockey, whatever you watch. And God bless. Have a great day.